Welcome, everybody. Good evening. My name is Charles Waskowitz. This is the Town of Orange, Connecticut Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. Tuesday, August 28th, we're in Town Hall at 7:33 p.m. The first item on our agenda tonight is the consideration of the August 14th, 2007 minutes, and I have a few items that I'd like to review. On page 2, at the top, I saw something that I just hadn't been paying attention to earlier. If you'll note, the very first sentence, it talks about an application number 207-18. At first, when I read that, is that supposed to be 2007? And I don't think it is after I went back and looked at it, so that is correct. Thank you. I had a question in the very last paragraph of page 2, and it's just a term that I'm not familiar with, and some of you construction people can help me. It talks about using shot rock / gravel. What is shot rock? Rick?
When they blast the leftover rock.
So that is potential that fits well in this sentence then?
Right.
Yes, okay, thanks. So there's no change there. Up above, though, in the motion, it's the 5th bullet. Prior to a building permit is issued, a deed restriction must be placed on the land records to ensure. It's not an I as in insurance, but E as in ensure. Top of page 3, there's 3 words in the first sentence. Work in progress. That should be hyphenated. Work hyphen in hyphen progress. The third paragraph, if you will, the one right after the 3 bullets, the word threshold should be 1 word and only 1 H. And then just a technicality, but I think it may be important, is under new business, when we had a motion by Rick Mangione to go to executive session. It's really not a motion to adjourn, but rather we recess to go to executive session, and then we only adjourn the meeting at the end of the meeting. I think that's correct. If someone would like to chime in there, and that's all I had. Thank you. Don't we, isn't that, Scott's here, welcome. We just started a minute ago and we're looking at the minutes. Isn't that true when we're in a normal meeting that we recess to go to executive session rather than adjourn the meeting to go to executive session?
I've heard it both ways.
You have, okay. I'd prefer recess because we didn't really adjourn the meeting. We came back and had a few minutes afterwards. Does anyone else have any thoughts or comments on the minutes? Jim?
Do we need to add that, was it Mike Roberts recused himself?
Thank you for pointing that out. I do remember that was done. Okay, it should be. Jim, thank you for pointing that out. That should be added to that section that's talking about executive session, that Mike Robichaud did recuse himself from he went into executive session, but then he heard what was talked about, and then he subsequently left, and we did record that fact on the Ogat file, but not perhaps here. No? No, I'm sorry. When we came back out of executive session, I stated on OGAT that he had recused himself, but we should put it in the minutes. Thank you, Jim.
I believe I forgot to restart the tape so when Katie listened to it,
It
it was going to be my fault that was missing.
But I'm glad Jim was sharp enough to pick that up.
Thank you, Jim.
Any other changes? And then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you, Rick. Someone second? Jim?
Second.
Second by Jim. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes as corrected, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It was unanimous. Thank you. That is, no one abstained and nobody voted against. The second item on our agenda tonight is some correspondence. There are 3 items that I see here. One is from CACIWIC, which is the Connecticut Association of Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commissions Incorporated in Vernon, Connecticut. They have an annual recognition award, and their letter came to us as commissioners. It's addressed to all of us, asking if we wanted to nominate anyone. And I'll pass this around to the extent that you want a copy of the entry form to nominate somebody for the CACI award. Please do so, and we'll just circulate that. Anybody out in town might want to see that. It will be held on in the town's records. Additionally, from CACIWIC is a Connecticut Association of Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commission's 30th annual meeting and environmental conference on Saturday, November 10th. And I'll pass around the sessions that are being held if anybody would like to take that. Rick, if you'll pass those around to the commissioners. Scott, did you have a thought on Kakiwick or something? I thought I saw you motion.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we got everything back, because we didn't get some of the correspondence back, so
Okay.
we had
Okay.
to drag it from other places to make sure it was on file.
Thank you, that's a good idea. If we're saying it's on file, let's make sure we keep that all the way around the table back to Katie or Scott. So what is circulating now is the letter about the recognition award, and then a pile of information related to the 30th annual meeting and conference for Saturday, November 10th. If anyone would like to attend that, please take one of those session forms and feel free to register. And finally, there was another course being held. This one's at Yale University, a short course in river processes. It's over 3 days in October for a few hours each of those days, except for Sunday, October 14th. It does go all day. I've taken this course before, and it's very good. I'll note, Katie pointed out, it's held on October 8th, 9th, and 14th. October 9th is a Tuesday, and it's being held 6 to 9 p.m., the same time as our wetlands meeting. So it's a great course, but consider if you will, the conflict. And if I'm not, I believe Katie has circulated this to everyone. If you would like to see another copy of this Yale University course on river processes, feel free to contact our office. We have the information here. And to the extent that should be open to the public, I think it's on a first-come, first-served basis. Item 3 on our agenda, old business, Beach Lawn Terrace, Mr. Urbano. Anyone here representing the applicant? Scott or Katie, any information?
I spoke with him about a week ago. Said he had altered the plans to the point where he had shrunk the house. They moved the septic. I told him he was still within 100 feet, that he would need to come in. He said he would be here.
Well, presently he's not here, so we're going to move on to item number 4 on the item number 4 on the agenda, new applications. We have 2 of them for receipt tonight. 659 Estelle Court, lot number 7, and also another one in your package, ladies and gentlemen, is 270 Arnold Lane. And I presume we'll take those up for discussion at our next meeting, which is September 11th. For discussion, oh, Scott, you have something.
Lot number 7 of Whitney Acres is what that is.
Estelle Court, lot
Estelle
number
Court.
7, Whitney Acres.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification. Again, under new applications for discussion tonight, 415 Pine Tree Drive. Do we have a representative of the, yes, please come up. Where did I put that?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael B. Machow. I'm a land surveyor with the firm of Nowakowski, B. Machow and Kane. And I'm here representing Joseph and Joan Marone, located on 415 Pine Tree Drive. What this particular site is septic repair on this corner parcel of Pine Tree and Spruce Lane. I'll start off with right now. This particular parcel is located on the northwest corner of Spruce Lane and Pine Tree Drive. Existing house, this was the approximate septic area that existing on the site now. We did have it flagged by a soil scientist. And the wetland soils basically are just around the perimeter of the house. And what we're here for too is for the septic repair, and what we're proposing to do is have the septic 2 stages, one in the front of the house and also onto the left side or the right side of the property joining Spruce Lane. We do have septic approval from the Town of Orange Health Department. Just a few minor things that they want done for final approval to commence work on this particular site.
If I may interrupt just for on that, I have here in front of me the department head sign-off sheet, so it's a great segue for it, Mike, when it
Okay.
says from Fred Schumacher. This is a very difficult, I think it says hydrocolically, I don't know what it's hard to read.
Hydraulic.
What is this word here? Hydro something, he's got too many L's in there, I believe. Anyway, it's a challenge.
Hydraulically challenged.
Hydraulically, oh, that makes sense. Anyway, a difficult and a challenging property. No other area on the property is suitable for an SSDS repair. And again, that's Fred Schumacher. And while I'm at it, I'll just say Ed Lieberman says, street opening permit required for connection to catch basin. And there's a signature here also from the zoning enforcement officer, Paul Denise. And all of these are dated July 23rd, 2007. Thank you, Michael. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
Back to you.
And basically what they want to do is there is an existing 4-inch drain pipe yard drain basically in the site right now. There's a homemade catch basin yard drain right here, 4-inch pipe into another yard drain and a yard drain here. And basically we believe that she's coming out into the existing drainage system out on Pine Tree Drive here, and then she exits it out this way here. And what we're proposing for is with 4-inch type pipe to come out here along the shoulder of the road into the existing catch basin at the intersection of Pine Tree and also Spruce Lane.
So you would shut down the pipe that's going along the driveway?
Yeah, we're going to make
Yes,
everything
okay.
go back out,
Okay.
go around. And that's basically it.
But you're gonna regrade.
Basically, it's
The
a mount.
driveway?
Basically, it's a mount system on both sites. What we're going to do is wet the system down into the better soil, lower. You can see the cross-section details on the plan. It's a pump system. Just no other place to put this.
Scott, please.
I just want,
Oh, thank you. This is a land survey and an engineering firm to the town of Orange dated July 23rd, 2007 regarding 415 Pine Street Drive. Is that the right?
Pine Tree.
Pine Tree. It says Pine Street Drive. No, that didn't sound right. To the Wetlands Commissioner from Alan B. Shepard. This letter is to explain the concept for the septic plan on 415 Pine Tree Drive. The lot consists of poorly drained soils which we believe are filled wetlands. Some of the existing septic system in the wetland is in the wetland area. The property does drain, but it drains slowly. Therefore, we are proposing a wick system, W-I-C-K. We would over-excavate the septic area 4 to 5 feet and place clean septic sand in original soils. This will direct the effluent vertically instead of horizontally toward the wetlands. It should be noted that the bacteria and viruses die off exponentially when traveling through unsaturated septic sand. We have been working with the health department for the past year, and we feel this is the best plan for all parties involved, including the wetlands department. Sincerely, again, Alan B. Shepard, public engineer. Anyone else like to see this before I turn it back in? Thank you, Scott. Michael, I don't know if you have seen that. Presumably you have.
It's
Yeah,
from our,
your firm, yeah.
that's from our engineer.
So it looks like you're gonna excavate to about 162, 163, right? And put in the clean fill, and then the water's at 166. I mean, is that what a?
I mean, down in this area here, yeah. It's a better soil. It's still gonna
But wouldn't just the water just go into the better soil? I mean,
she gets into the soil down below is a lot better. The water's gonna travel through that better than the upper layer, which this is right now. It's just sitting there basically. It's just it's just ponding there. I don't know if you're familiar with this area, but this was
no, I know.
definitely a prone.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of water.
Wetland fill
I'm just
area.
I'm just questioning. I mean, why didn't they just stop at 166?
To be honest with you,
They're digging deeper into the water table.
Between Al Shepard, our engineer, and Fred, they came up with that scheme, you know.
Scott, do you have any thoughts on that as far as, because it presumably will hit water?
Well, the whole septic system basically is in a wetland now anyway. So, I mean, there really is, other than abandoning the house.
The actual system is going to be at the elevation 168, but the bottom of the wick,
Right.
it's going to be lower, yes.
Anything else, Michael? Commissioners, any questions? Diana, please.
What part of the pipe, the existing drain pipe, are you abandoning, or are you just splitting it up?
We're going to be outletting the drainage from this particular basin right here off the corner of the house. Bring it out to the road and then back into the catch basin here. Because basically the water is just sitting there, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, what about the other one in front of the house? What's happening with that one?
This here,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to stay there.
And it drains to the back, to that one? Which way is the water flowing in that pipe right now?
To be honest with you, it's flat. It's not really draining at all.
And then what happens if it overflows, it goes to the road?
It's just basically below the surface of the ground.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's, and I don't even know if it's, to be honest with you, if it's all connected. It might be damaged.
Are they going to leave the one in the front then, or are they going to remove that?
They're gonna, I believe they're gonna keep this here.
And then what about the pipe going out to the road?
We looked inside here, all right? There is a pipe going out in that direction. To the extent how far it goes, we're not sure. You know, that upon excavating in this area here, we'll decide at that time, what the best way to handle that particular drainage system. It's, it's just a regular 4-inch. Somebody put it in.
If it's an open jointed pipe, loose jointed pipe, it has to be 25 feet from the septic system, so
Right.
more than likely it's going to get ripped out
Right.
during construction regardless.
Well, it looks like that's why they have tight fittings up on top, so I thought it was
Right.
getting removed.
Right.
Right.
Because there was quite a few variances that were asking them with this particular system.
Anyone like to consider this? Rick,
I'll make a
please.
motion
Thank
to
you.
approve the site plan for Joseph and Joan Marone, dated because the last one's 7/26, oh no, 7/16/07. Here's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, number 8, and number 10. And also, it looks like in the plan where it's the existing 4-inch drain pipe, it looks like it's all going to be removed because it's all dotted, correct? Okay,
I believe so, yes.
yeah.
Is that a condition?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I understand.
That's the way I read it, and that's
What do
when
you
I
think,
asked
Scott?
earlier.
Doesn't look like it's going to be removed because the septic system's on both sides and the joints are probably not tight. It's probably a perforated pipe.
I agree.
Yeah.
There is a note on the site plan, though, it does read that everything has to be changed to tight pipe.
Change to tight pipe.
Yeah, I see that on top. It says 4-inch
I'm not
PVC
sure where-
tight pipe, tight joint. It says it right on top. That's the new pipe.
Right.
All right.
I'm not sure what pipes they're talking about, what they want to change the tight the tight joint pipes on that particular area.
Oh, we just don't want the septic system to flow nicely through the pipe into the
Right.
drain.
Exactly. Keep that distance.
Might be an odor.
Any more to your motion? I think you got the items.
I think
you got
I have,
them clicked
unless
off.
anybody
You-
else-
You know how we'll number the system and correspond to you. Would anyone like to second that motion, please?
I'll second.
Diana, second. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, ladies, anyone would like to discuss this motion?
Are we clear that that pipe is either going to be replaced with the tight pipe or removed?
Well, it's gotta be a tight pipe, or it's gotta be removed, but
That was
I
one
think
of the...
that's just common, I mean, I think,
Yeah, I would assume that's what they're going to
because I
do out
assume
there,
it,
but he wasn't too sure, so it's...
well, I think what we're gonna put is gonna be removed, it's gonna be tight pipe.
So one of the conditions of that motion, as I understood it, which I interrupted you, I guess, when we were talking, is that it was going to be removed. But if it's also tight, that would be perfectly acceptable, I presume. Scott?
Correct. I think what
Okay.
we would do is, to cover ourselves, is just have the sanitarian clarify what is actually going to occur and put that as part of a condition, so that if there is any gray areas involved here, it's going to be on the sanitarian rather than on the
Yeah, that's fine.
commission.
We could do that.
Okay, you agree with that? Also, would you consider that as... Okay, so that motion still stands and second, as Diana both agree. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Abstain? Passes unanimously. Michael, thank you. Good luck. You'll be hearing from Scott and the sanitarian.
Thank you very much. Good seeing everybody.
The next item for discussion tonight is Farm River Estates, St. John's Drive. Katie, did we forget something? Welcome, Mr. Weiwei.
Good evening. Okay, good evening, members of the commission, Mr. Chairman. My name is Robert Weiwei. I'm a licensed professional engineer and principal with the firm of Codaspoti and Associates, and we're here tonight on behalf of Farm River Estates LLC, who is the owner and applicant of the subject application, which is identified as map 63, block 2, lot 1 on your town of Orange assessor's map. The subject parcel contains approximately 22.8 acres and was part of a larger 66.5 acre tract of land. If the commission remembers, there was an application was filed in the not too distant past with regards to that particular portion of property. Approximately 43.7 acres of that 66.5 was recently sold to the town of Orange as open space. The site that we're dealing with, out of the 22.8 acres, contains approximately 5.7 acres of wetlands, which was flagged by Otto Thiel, soil scientist, back in March of 2004. And I believe to complete the record, we have a copy of sheet 2, or SP2, which is the grading plan and has the original signature of the soil scientist on that.
Robert, thank you. One of the questions I had tonight was the copies that I have, his was a stamp by Otto Theo, but was not dated by him. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, that's typically what happens on the submission set. That's why we turned in one with the original signature on it.
Thank you.
From what can be seen from the overall view of the property, the land cover on the site primarily consists of open meadow and farm area, which is depicted by the lighter shades of green up on the drawing. And that area primarily encompasses the northern portion and then part of the central corridor running down to the south end of the property within that area. Forested wetland area dominates the remainder of the property and is predominant down in the southeast portion of the site, which covers proposed lots 3, 4, 5, and 6 within that particular area there. And the topography is dominated by several ridge lines which run in a north to south direction, and basically these ridge lines tend to feed the wetland systems on either side of it. So what we have is one ridge line that pretty much runs down coming through St. John's Drive extension, and part of that ridge pushes water off to the west and part of it pushes it off to the east coming down through this corridor. And then there's a secondary ridge line which comes through the eastern portion of the property, and that tends to feed the central wetland system as well as the easterly wetland system. The soils are comprised primarily of Class A, B, and C soils, and those are identified on sheet SP3 of your drawings on the Soil Erosion and Sediment Control Plan. In addition to that, portions of the site are also located within the FEMA flood boundary. The flood line, as depicted on the drawings on your SP1 and SP2, have been shown on there based on the flood insurance study elevations that are published within that study. And basically, they were overlaid on top of the site topography for the application. Now, the proposal that we're putting forth before the Commission tonight is for a residential subdivision which presently contains nine lots, and there is a potential for an additional 10th lot subject to satisfaction of the town sanitarian. And that particular area would deal with lot number 9. Lot 9 has a future potential of being further subdivided with a house and septic area up in the northern portion once we could address Fred Schumacher's concerns with regards to that lot. So with respect to the additional lot, while we're only asking the Commission for approval for 9 lots at this time, for design purposes, with respect to the stormwater management system, we've taken into account that there may be a future potential 10th lot, so everything's already been built into that for future development, should that time come. Basically, as part of the subdivision with the 9 lots, we'll be extending St. John's Drive to the south and then constructing a new road heading east from St. John's Drive, which we're going to call Farm River Road. All told, there's approximately 1,500 lineal feet of new roadway proposed with the subdivision. Farm River Road, as can be seen on this drawing and on sheet 2 of your drawings, will require a crossing of the wetlands to provide access to lots 5 through 8, which are up in this general area here, located in the northeast portion of the property. The wetland crossing as presently proposed will consist of approximately 0.07 acres of filling, and in our opinion is the main focus of this application before the Commission. The wetland crossing area contains an intermittent watercourse located within the wetland system, and that's indicated by this dashed and dotted line going through that area there. At the crossing location here, there's approximately a 15-acre tributary watershed located up to the north, and that in the watershed area extends up into the Whitney Acres subdivision, which I believe this Commission is thoroughly familiar with. The crossing that we're proposing for the wetlands will consist of a 5-foot high by 8-foot wide box culvert, and it's being proposed to provide hydraulic and environmental connectivity to the wetland system, both to the north and south. What we're also proposing for this culvert is that the bottom 18 inches or so be filled with substrate material that will be retrieved from the wetland crossing during construction. Utilization of the material, of this type of material within the culvert will help to promote wildlife migration for smaller species that can fit through the culvert, and also maintain a natural channel similar to what's presently in place. It's worth noting that in terms of the crossing area, we did some calculations just based on, from a hydraulic perspective, that a 36-inch diameter pipe can more than adequately handle the flow rates that would be anticipated coming down through this corridor. And that would be capable of passing a 100-year storm event coming down from that area. So you could see that in relationship to the size of the crossing and what we're proposing with the box culvert. There's a much greater flow area present within that culvert than what we would really need to accommodate that particular crossing area here. With the exception of the crossing for the roadway, there is no other proposed filling or activity within the wetland area per se. Now, as part of the development, it could be anticipated that with the addition of 9 to 10 building lots and 1,500 lineal feet of roadway, that there will be potential impacts from increases in peak rates and volume of stormwater runoff from the site. And as part of this application, we've prepared a stormwater management plan to address these increases, as well as water quality issues associated with the project. What we're proposing is to basically control the peak rates of runoff and portions of the stormwater volume is a proposed detention basin, and as shown on the larger scale map, we're proposing to locate this down at the southern end of Lot 3. The characteristics of the basin are such that it has a total drainage area of approximately 4.6 acres, has a maximum storage capacity of 1.6 acre feet, and has a maximum depth of 5 feet, and that occurs down at the outlet control structure, measured from the 3-inch invert up to the berm crest within that area. Now, within the detention basin, I believe these are shown on the detail sheets that are part of the drawings. The detention basin will also have a low flow channel to maximize travel time from the flared end discharge down to the outlet control structure. So you can see that on this drawing. We've got this kind of meandering through the basin itself to try to maximize that flow time going through there. Now, prior to runoff from the roadway system from Farm River Road and St. John's Drive reaching the detention basin, we are proposing to incorporate a water quality structure, and what we've done as part of the design process is gone through and provided a storm scepter, I believe it's Model 2400 water quality structure. The primary function of the storm scepter will be the containment of particulates and floatables. The unit that's being proposed has been sized in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations and EPA guidelines to meet the water quality objective of 80% total suspended solids removal. In addition to this, each of the lots that are presently being proposed have also been provided with infiltration galleries to accommodate the first inch of runoff from the tributary roof areas, and the locations and placement of those galleries have all been shown and identified on sheet SB2 of your package. Now, when we take a look at the total detention storage that we're providing, the water quality structure, the infiltration galleries, it's our opinion that the goal of 80% total suspended solids removal for the project as a whole should be possible. As a result, the proposed stormwater management plan, there should not be any adverse impacts to downstream properties if the stormwater management plan is properly installed and maintained during its life. And as part of the application process, we've also provided a detailed soil erosion sediment control plan which will help to provide for the protection of the wetlands and buffer areas during the construction process. We've provided mud tracking pads both for the roadway entrance coming in on St. John's Drive, as well as each of the driveway accesses as each lot gets developed within the subdivision area. Stockpile areas have been identified. Silt fencing has been identified both for the roadway construction as well as the individual lot developments within the area. In addition, where appropriate, permanent vegetation has been provided to help stabilize the slopes and prevent any siltation and erosion of the adjacent wetland areas. Now with that, that's pretty much a brief overview of the project. It's our opinion and belief that the application submitted to the Commission allows for the reasonable use of the property while at the same time minimizing the impacts to the wetlands and adjacent watercourses for the site. So with that, I know this is a brief overview. I guess we'll basically look to the Commission to see if there's any additional information that you may need us to provide or you want us to get into at this point in time.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Weiwei at the moment? Diana, would you like to begin?
Do we have the stormwater calculations? I have them here. Was it a one sheet or a booklet or? Okay.
See that.
Yeah, I believe what we did is we turned in was, I believe, four or five full sets that have all the
Okay.
appendix and the detailed calcs, and then there were summary sheets that should have been there for, which was basically the first two or three pages of the report.
I don't think they, thank you, Robert. I don't think they were distributed, and I think that for others, they want to see them as well.
Okay.
You know, forward those to the extent that we can get the summaries.
Does anybody see the summary?
No, I don't have the summary either.
Yeah, the summary was just basically the first, out of the large volume, which would have been the first four pages.
Could, Katie, could we get the first 4 pages photocopied for the next meeting? I'll take this opportunity to read a memorandum into the file. Robert, I'm not sure that you have this. It's dated August 23rd, 2007, to me from the Chief Sanitarian, Fred Schumacher. Subject is Farm River Estates Department sign-off sheet. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but I'll read it aloud. It doesn't seem to be too long. It says, regarding Farm River Estates, I have the following comments and concerns. Footing drain on Lot 2 should not discharge 8 feet from property line, which may cause a possible drainage nuisance to adjoining property. Maybe you could address that tonight. Footing drain should discharge into a catch basin in front of Lot 2, or footing drain pipe should be relocated. His second of 3 points is an existing dirt road not shown on the SP2 between lots 1 and 2 bisects an isolated wetland area on Lot 1. I observed a pipe under the dirt road which permitted a connection and drainage between the isolated wetland and a larger wetland area on Lot 2. Is the pipe still there? Will any efforts be made to ensure the drainage connection between the wetland areas? I haven't seen that myself. The third item of 3 is the wetland areas on Lots 1 and 2 form a headwater for a stream which flows south across adjacent property, not part of the proposed subdivision, and onto Lot 3. To ensure the continuity and future maintenance of the stream, I recommend that the westerly property line on Lot 3 be repositioned so that the wetland area and stream is eliminated as part of Lot 3. Otherwise, the aforementioned portion should be included in an easement. Robert, have you seen this? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you have. Okay.
if it's appropriate, I guess we could address
Circulate
his comments at this point in time, or if you want to go through the rest of the commission members first. It's up to you.
Go ahead and say what you have. Listen up. He's going to address those 3 comments from the sanitarian.
Okay, basically with regards to the footing drain on Lot 2, that's shown, the footing drain that he's making reference to is shown in this location here.
Right.
And while the footing drain may in fact be 8 feet away from the property line, that property line really has no consequence to any houses, buildings per se, because this is all town of Orange open space, the open space parcel which comes up to here. The reason why the pipe outlet is in this particular location has to do with the relationship to the basement floor elevation and being able to daylight the footing drain. Now he makes a comment in here with regards to the footing drain discharging into the catch basin on Lot 2. And if you were to take a look at the invert elevations in the catch basin, it's certainly possible to redirect this footing drain to the catch basin. However, it was our opinion that if there's any water that comes out of here, to facilitate recharging in the wetland area in here, basically get the groundwater from this system into the wetland system instead of into the stormwater conveyance system. So again, if the commission feels it's warranted, we could certainly take this footing drain and connect it to the catch basin. However, it's our opinion that we're better to leave that footing drain discharge in this location here, and in the rare occasions or instances when the footing drain is flowing, it's going to basically help to feed this wetland system going through that particular area there.
Before you jump ahead, any
Sure.
thoughts or questions on that? I understand the explanation. Go ahead, Rob. Thank you.
Okay. Now, with regards to item 2, I haven't had a chance to talk to Fred about this because we just got this memorandum today from Scott. And I believe Scott was out on the site, and he wasn't able to locate or identify the pipe that Fred is talking about. So my initial take on it was that there's another corridor system that's located further out to the west, and that it may be that area that has the pipe, but I believe from talking to Scott, Fred is pretty certain that the pipe is in this location because he did reference some standpipe numbers that he monitored through the past season in relationship to the wetland flags that were out there. So taken at face value, if we go on the assumption that the pipe is there, no, we don't have it located because, again, it wasn't obvious to us when the field crew was out there. But I think getting into the second part of it, what the substance is that we're not doing anything up in this back part of the area. So if there is a pipe that comes underneath the old farm road in through this area here, it basically connects this system to this system. And what can be seen from the drawings, we're not proposing to do any work up in that area. So if there's a pipe there, it's going to remain there, and we really don't propose to do any work up in that area. So for all intentional purposes, it'll remain status quo up within that area.
Thank you, Robert. Jim, by any chance, have you ever come across that pipe on your doings and trails out there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's out where Robert just sort of mentioned?
What I don't know is where it is relative to the boundary line.
Pick your microphone up. It apparently is off. Thank you.
I don't know where it is relative to what would be the west boundary line. It's not shown on the drawing, so I don't know exactly where it is.
Okay.
No, I believe did Fred have that wetland flag number? Because you had mentioned that he had a wetland flag reference number on that.
Not in the memo, at least.
No. I think from Scott's conversation.
I went out there
with
today, and I actually called him while I was on site trying to find it, wandering around trying to find the pipe, and there's just so much overgrowth out there that
Couldn't find it
I
either.
wasn't able to find it within
Yeah, I mean,
the short period of time that I was out there, but there is a definite deep depression where the farm path crosses between those two wetlands, so it's very possible it's a considerable distance below grade, and again, there's just probably 3 or 4 feet of Japanese knotweed and everything else is growing in that area, so it's very hard to see what's in there.
Yeah, and again, I think the depression that Scott's making reference to is up around this 161.5 spot elevation. So anything with the piping connection is, without knowing exactly where it is, my best educated guess would be is that it's in this general proximity here, because the old farm road comes down through here, so the crossing would have been in this general location. And again, we're not proposing any work up in that corner of the property or lots.
Commissioners, thoughts on that matter?
Okay,
Continue, please.
and with regards to the third item, what he's making reference to is that we have an intermittent water course associated with this westerly corridor system, which kind of picks up on the town open space property and then meanders back over through a portion of Lot 3, kind of disappears, picks up on Lot 3 again, and then heads off the property to the south, and then eventually connects up with the Indian River. So I believe what Fred is making reference to here is that he would like to see the intermittent water course in its entirety either contained within the town open space parcel or to have an easement placed over lot number 3 to afford the protection. Again, as far as donating the land over to that, I would have to get back to our client. In terms of putting an easement over it or protecting the intermittent water course, it is within a regulated area as it stands now because the wetland line is located further out to the east of the intermittent water course. So for the owner of Lot 3 to be able to do any work within that stream or within the intermittent water course area, they would have to come back before this commission to do any work with it anyway. So in one respect, it is already in a somewhat protected nature, just by the fact that it's within the regulated area, and this commission would have to take any type of action on any work to be done within that particular area. So again, I don't know what the commission's feeling is with regards to that particular item. I suppose probably I think from our perspective, incorporation of an easement may be a little bit more palatable to doing that. But again, I don't know if an easement is really necessary for that particular portion of the lot.
Any comments on that, ladies, gentlemen? Not at this time. Oh, Scott?
I have one comment about the intermittent water course. If out on the east side of the parcel, down the behind lots,
Here, Scott, look at mine. Right, oh, you're down.
5 and 6,
Yeah.
there's, I believe, another water course that runs down through. That has a lot more velocity to it. It kind of keeps itself cleaned out, where the intermittent water course that Mr. Wayway and Mr. Schumacher are referring to does not have a velocity to it, so it looks as though to me that it's going to be prone to needing more maintenance than the more or less self-cleaning water course on the east sides. So I think that's an area that is going to be subject to more frequent maintenance, and I'm not sure where the Commission feels the responsibility should lie as to who should maintain that, but clearly it's something that looks as though it is going to be a maintenance issue. Again, just because of lack of volume of water to scour it out,
Yeah,
keep it clean.
I think if I can maybe just take off on that just a little bit. I think with what you're making reference to back up in here, with those, the topography is definitely steeper back up in that area, and this is more back in the forested area of the property. So it's the tendency is for this to be a much more natural area, as opposed to the intermittent water course up along the westerly portion. You're absolutely right. The topography is very flattened through this area, and would have a tendency of having low velocities come through there. With that being said, portions of the ditch backing through here were basically man-made through the ongoing farming and agricultural uses of the property in the past. Now, I'm not sure what the intentions of the town of Orange are, if they're going to be maintaining this as any type of farm or crop area for the benefit of the town. I would venture to say that if there is going to be any type of endeavor to maintain a crop area up on that portion of the property, then I think Scott's comments are certainly valid with regards to additional maintenance, because again, with farmed areas, farmed areas will tend to generate a little bit more in the way of erosion just because of the tillage and everything else that goes on in that area. If the open space area is going to remain to be in its natural state, or just allowed to go and let nature take its course, I would have to think that the sediment loading to this whole intermittent stream and wetland system is probably going to be substantially reduced over what may have been there in the past. But again, I think if the Commission feels it's warranted, I think we could certainly look at incorporating an easement over this area to either give the town the ability to get in there and clean it and maintain it in the future, or to have the caveat for Lot 3 to maintain that portion of it.
Thoughts, Diana?
I'm assuming we're going to have a public hearing on this, is that correct?
There was no petition received, so the commission has to make a determination if there is one warranted based on the 3 criteria of either a petition, significant wetlands impacts, or significant public interest. And those are the 3 criteria that the commission has to make a decision as to whether they're 2 actually now, because we did not receive any petition, whether they want to take the public hearing or not. So it's clearly your call.
Yeah, I have not received a single call on this matter. If anyone else has, that we'd have to make that note now so that we know that there's been an interest.
Well, I don't know how far along they know this is, and I really think with this project, we should offer the public the opportunity to have input on it.
Well, certainly they would have the opportunity between now and the next meeting, September 11th.
No, they wouldn't, not to apply for the,
They
to
don't
submit
have it
a,
for the first 2 weeks?
the first 2 weeks, it was received the last meeting, so
Oh,
that was the
upon
2 weeks, so
receipt,
they,
I'm
it's too
sorry.
late now for a
Sorry,
petition to
right.
be submitted.
It is too
It
late
is,
for
I was
commission.
thinking that we had a couple of weeks,
No,
you're right.
that
It's on
the
receipt.
2-week petition period has passed.
Passed. Anyone, Diane would like to address that more, or others, and would you like to just speak to that, whether or not we have enough interest by the public or our own doings to meet the criteria that Scott just enumerated to have a public hearing?
The only thing I see is just this one box culvert crossing. It's not a, I mean.
I see a lot of regulated activities, they're very close to the wetlands, and most of the activity, you know, there's a lot of activity in our 100-foot upland review area. If you look at lot 5, the entire house is in the upland review area. And the disturbance there is probably less than 20 feet, or, well, the footing drains and the roof drains are going right up close to the wetland, but you can see the galleries there.
Pointing out what Diana just said is, unless I'm mistaken, every lot has some activity within the 100-foot review area.
Yeah,
And I didn't even know about lot number 10 as a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, since the commission's just recently gone over to the 100-foot review area now. With this application, I think there is some portion of every lot that is within the review area. And again, it's a review area, it's not an exclusionary zone. You know, for doing the work in conjunction with the application.
And if I may just interject something here that I don't understand, and maybe you could help, I'm not a zoning person at all. Does each lot have to exceed 1.5 acres? Or is that not the zoning standard?
Well,
yet?
it's a 60,000 square foot.
Because one of these I saw was 1.3 change acres. Lot number 7 was not 1.5, so that was not my realm, and it's not my jurisdiction, but I thought it.
It's 60,146 square feet, so there's a 146 square feet extra on that lot.
So it's a 60,000 square
Right.
foot, not necessarily what that 1.5 is.
Right.
That's a builder's acre.
Yeah, I was
The-
thinking of,
The 40,000 as opposed to the 43,560,
Yes.
which is an acre.
all right, it's not my realm
So
anyway,
it's-
but I just wanted to
It's
understand
a builder's
that.
acre and a half.
Yeah.
Right, it's a builder's acre and a half.
We'll let those who are on zoning take care of that. Back to inland wetlands, thank you. The concern still is just something that Diana addressed to us, whether or not we think this application has merit of enough public interest. Scott apparently has pulled out here our public hearings, article number 9. The Inland Wetlands Commission shall not hold a public hearing on an application unless the Inland Wetlands Commission determines that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands or watercourses. A petition signed by at least 25 persons who are 18 years of age or older and who reside in the municipality in which the regulated activity is proposed, requesting a hearing is filed with the commission not later than 14 days, that's the 2 weeks we refer to, after the date of receipt of such application, that's passed. Or the commission finds that a public hearing regarding such application would be in the public interest. So we have that. The commission may issue a permit without a public hearing, provided no petition provided for, and I don't think the rest of this has any bearing on it at the moment, but it's certainly here if anyone would like to read it. So the only option we have, I believe, is that the commission would have to find that a public hearing regarding such application is in the public interest. The closest thing I can come to saying to that is that this is adjoining a parcel of land that was just purchased by the town, and to the extent that we want to consider any adjoining property to a large a purchase that the town made, that may be in the public interest, let alone our upland review area, which Diane already pointed out. Commissioners? Scott, anyone? Drew?
You would need to motion. You would need to motion if you're going to go to a public
thank you.
hearing.
We would have to have a motion. If Diane or someone else likes to. Drew, you were about to say something? Go ahead.
I was,
Leave the light on and now talk.
you said what I was thinking.
Oh, thank you.
That we have a large piece of land that's, that happens, we represent the town in that. So where is that? Is that draining down towards the town?
It drains in a couple different directions, actually. So far, I hear, if I count myself, that right now there might be two, myself would make it three, that are leaning towards, or at least considering a public hearing. Jim or Walt or Rick, do you have any thoughts on this so that we could decide as a commission? Walter?
Yes, in joining the town property, it should be probably here.
Okay. Well, Jim, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I agree. I think to cover all the bases, and we should have a public hearing on it.
It sounds like we're going to a public hearing based upon that. Scott points that we would have to have a motion. Rick, I didn't want to avoid you. Would you like to comment either way?
I'll join in.
He joins in. Okay, thank you. Diana, would you like to make the motion, please?
I move that we hold a public hearing on this application. I'm assuming that would be beginning the next meeting, is that correct, Scott? Or would it be
I don't think we'd have time.
2
The public
meetings?
hearing would be scheduled for September 25th.
Okay.
Not next meeting, but the one after, September 25th. Would anyone like to second that? Drew, thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to have a public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nobody abstaining? Passes unanimously. Thank you. That doesn't preclude us from hearing more tonight.
All right, I had a question
And-
before.
Okay, please, Rick.
I assume all this water is going towards Tyler City? Is that right?
Yeah, basically all the runoff, and you can see a little bit on this sheet, and I believe on your sheet
Yes.
SP2.
The question because I know it floods down there. I mean, I never saw the actual flood, but from the last meeting, it floods down there. The water coming through that box culvert, do you know how high that water ever got? I mean, I know you said a 36-inch pipe could handle it.
Well, right now, I mean, it's really an open farm ditch going through that area, so there's nothing to really compare it to. You're looking at that location, again, you're only looking at a tributary area of 15 acres, as opposed to what you have down in Tyler City Road. I'd have to look it up, but you're up in,
Well, the thing I'm getting at, I don't know if it ever backed up and it got higher to water. I know you said if it was an 8x5.
Right.
You know, if branches and stuff got caught in front of that, would it go over the road or no?
Over our
new
proposed road?
Right.
No.
It won't get that high?
No, because I mean, if you take a look at the profiles, this is a relatively...
It's going to be 8 feet or 10 feet?
Yeah, it's a relatively steep embankment that's coming in through there. You'd have to impound almost 11 feet of water before you had overtopping of the road occurring in that
If
area.
it does go over the road, it's going to, which may be possible, I don't know, and then it would flow towards St. John's Drive, and then that whole section of St. John's Drive is the pool where it would sit, from just looking at the elevation.
Well, again, if you were to have the situation where you had topping of the road, St. John, it would carry down through
here.
St. John's Drive, and then heading off in a westerly direction to the town open space, and then coming down through this system and eventually linking up with Indian River.
Well, wasn't Tyler City had a couple feet of water in there, or would you know?
Yeah, well, what it does do is it feeds into Indian River. This little tributary here comes down and wanders and feeds into Indian River. Where
Which
the
tributary are you talking about?
The proposed box culvert
Oh, okay.
is a natural swale that comes from Whitney Acres.
Yeah, and I
It
think,
feeds all the way down into Indian River. It cuts back to the east, about where About where the match line is on SP2, that cuts back towards what would be the wooded area to the east.
Yeah, this was one of the maps that we had from the previous application for the property before it was sold off. But basically, if we're looking at it in the north-south direction to line it up with the way we have the maps right now, our proposed development is up in this general area here. So Indian River kind of cuts in through this direction and then crosses Tyler City over in here. So you've got, here's the central wetland system, the easterly wetland system, and the westerly system. All three of them converge a little bit to the south of our property and then eventually link up with the Indian River. And, you know, based upon the FEMA flood study, yeah, there are flooding issues down in this area here, and, you know, which is documented within their flood insurance study, and the flood profile is going up within that area. But again, when you look in relationship to this crossing here, the watershed boundary is just about at this extent here, just coming up past the Whitney Acres subdivision. So again, when you look in terms of the context of the watershed areas, of the watershed area you have tributary to this point versus the tributary that you have to that box culvert, it's several orders of magnitude.
There is the detent pond for the Whitney Acres subdivision, however, that discharges into that drainage area where
Well,
where
yeah,
you go into.
the outlet from the detention basin for Whitney Acres comes up through this finger here, because this wetland system goes up to the north and then kind of splits into two fingers into a V. Part of it comes up this way and part of it comes that way. The detention basin is up in this area, so the outlet from that basin kind of filters down through here and comes down to the box culvert in that area there. Again, if the detention basin is doing its job up in that area, it should have provided for a zero increase in runoff, and it really shouldn't be an issue of what comes down to our box culvert.
Rick, you have any more thoughts or questions about that?
No, I know he increased the size, you know, to a 8x5 instead of a 36. The only question I asked, if you ended up, you know, putting two box culverts, is that going to guarantee it's not going to affect the new homes over there or back up? That's what I was asking.
Again, the culvert that we're providing there is not really there for drainage purposes. That's one of the functions of it. Again, it's a twofold approach that we're using in there. Some is to provide for hydraulic connectivity through there. The second part was for the environmental aspect of being able to provide the pathway to connect the north to south. Again, if I gave you the drainage calculations for a 15-acre watershed, a 12-inch pipe going underneath that driveway or underneath the roadway will handle the crossing. It'll give you more backwater on the upstream side, and that's in essence why we set a 36-inch pipe, because typically when we design the pipe systems for no headwater on the upstream side, we try to keep the headwater no greater than the depth of the pipe. And in that situation, a 36-inch pipe is what would be required for a 100-year storm. I could tell you I could put a 12-inch pipe in there that's going to handle the flow for up to a 100-year storm. You'll have a little bit more headwater on the upstream side, but you know it would handle the flow. Again, it's not a big watershed that's up above it. You know, when you look at 15 acres, it's not a sizable area.
Robert, what would be your next step up from 36-inch? Your next option?
Into well, to go from a pipe size, your next nominal size up from 36 would be either 42. After a 42, it would be 48, and then you would go up to a 60-inch.
Just all right. That was rhetorical, but I just wanted to understand.
Yeah.
Walter, Drew, Jim, any thoughts on this now? We'll probably have a lot more time to discuss it later, but
If we were to try to determine where this comment from Sanitarian Schumacher was,
about the pipe?
Yeah. How do we know, are the wetland flags numbered? So if we were out there, we would know relative where we were to this map?
Well, again, the wetlands were flagged back in March of 2004. In the open field area, which this is part of, I can almost guarantee you those flags do not exist today.
Right.
Some of them may exist back up in the wooded areas, coming back up in this area, but the area that's Fred making reference to, those flags would not be out there.
I think if you look at where St. John's enters the property and you just estimate that distance in the northern boundary line, it's probably 500 or 600 feet going east to west. And I understand where that depression is. There is no pipe under the road. It's just basically a depression that's collapsed, and it was a farm path, so it's...
That's what I found, was a depression. It looked like there was scour.
But it did drain the, actually there's a wetlands that runs up into Whitney Acres that comes down through that area.
What I did find was an old, what appeared to be a standpipe, a white PVC standpipe that went into the weeds towards that scour area, and it looked like it had just been broken off and was laying there, and I questioned Fred about that while I had him on the phone out there, and he seemed to think that I had lost my marbles at that point, which
So that was
today I have.
Yeah, that was an attempt, I think, years ago to dig a trench through there so it would drain, and that pipe was going to go in there, and that never happened, so that's why it's there, laying in the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, surveying that we did out on the site, the only areas that we had located the field pipes, and again, this is off the subject application site now. This would be in the town open space, which would be this wetland area over here was the only area that we had indication that there was an actual pipe system from this wetland system to this wetland system. Even for the other farm road crossing, there is no apparent piping apparent through here. It was just like a stone rubble farm path crossing, and as I was telling Scott today, for lack of a better term, it's a seepage envelope coming in through this crossing and through here. Because if you go out there in the spring season, I mean, you could literally hear the water flowing underneath the roadway, just kind of going between the stones and boulders that are in that area. You know, so again, we didn't locate any pipes up in this area. If they're there, I mean, Fred's certainly competent enough, and I'm sure if he's seen it out there, that a pipe does exist. It's just a matter of whether it is in that actual location or not.
Why don't you check with Fred and see if he can tell you where it is, and you can put it on the map.
We are going out together, Fred and I, sometime in the next couple of days to both satisfy each other's curiosity. I mean, I probably wandered around there for 20 minutes with phone in hand, and there was no way that the pipe that I found laying there is actually doing anything, in my opinion. So we're going to take a little field trip.
Diana, please continue.
I would like to have a copy of the soils report. I know it was done a while ago, but I'd like to have a copy of it again, so maybe we can have copies of those.
Yeah, we have that actually in the in the original, so we have that on file.
So you can get copies to everybody. Okay.
Do that.
The other thing is the alternatives analysis. We've established that there are regulated activities on all of the lots, and this doesn't address that, so I would ask that you would address alternatives considered for...
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that it's going to go to public, it's going to be our duty and obligation to present the alternatives at the public hearing. Yeah.
Jim?
I have a point of, I guess it would be order, if we're going to have a public hearing, should we withhold our discussions further until that time?
Yes. Unless someone disagrees.
I agree with...
Yeah, we shouldn't be discussing the matter, but we can ask for and clarify what we have as an application if you want to pursue that. Diana?
Yeah, the other, that's what I'm asking for, is things that I'm seeing missing that we
Yes.
need in the application. But the other thing is, I would like to have a copy of the plan of the entire site, because it's hard to look at just this and see how it's connected to the other wetlands in the area.
Okay, I think
The one
what we
that
could
you
probably
have.
do is give you
Yeah, I'd like to have one of,
It is a
some
matter of...
something like that.
It is the matter of record now. Put it up there, so you just want a sheet.
I want the actual
Yeah.
sheet so I can look at it.
Okay.
Robert, is that a problem? Could you get him one for everybody? Scott will laugh at me because he says I try to keep us from producing paper, but in this case, that might be helpful. Or at least a few, let me just say it that way, so we could share them.
Apparently, Bob, there is, you and I talked about it at length, but the synopsis sheet apparently did not come in with the application as far as the drainage calcs go.
Okay, I mean, I thought it was part of the package. Yeah, it was just the 4 pages unless it got omitted from our end. Okay. Yeah, we could certainly provide the 4 pages. You know, we'll get you the 14 copies of that.
That's the meat and the potatoes of the drainage
Yeah.
report. It was in that 4 pages, so that was why I really thought that it was part of that package. I mean,
Yeah,
my
that's
oversight.
certainly, I thought that I had requested for Katie to find that and get it distributed, but if she doesn't have it, then we need to have it and would like it distributed. Another thought, Robert, I don't know if you would like to do this or not, is I found it very useful to highlight in a different color where you were putting your silt fences. It's very busy on SP3, for example, and to the extent that somebody wants to see what you are doing during, if you will, construction while there's silt fences up, you can now see how you are dividing the property up during construction. I don't know how you address that other than point it out in a black and white or color, but I
Yeah, I
found it
mean,
very useful to
for
put
the
it
purpose of the
myself.
reproduction, I mean, you know, we do color copies for presentation
Yeah.
purposes, but as far as reproduction, you know, we can't
No, I don't mean to
reproduce them.
distribute, not at
Yeah.
all, nor even for us, but just during the presentation, because I found that very helpful of
Okay.
delineating those lines and where those silt fences are.
I think it's helpful if we do that on our own, too. I found that helps me to locate things. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that I really find the whole book informative because it has the pre and post hydrographs, the graphic hydrographs in it. It's also got the watershed, so I think if, if any other commissioners want the whole entire book, now would probably be the time to ask for that.
We only have 4 copies? I certainly would like to read one. Diana has one, that's 2 out of 4 commissioners. Add request now.
Well, as part of, I think, probably as part of going to the public hearing, we're going to have some available regardless.
Okay.
So we'll take down some more trees.
People grow trees for this reason.
You have a forest, or I forgot about that.
Do we have a number on the copies? Or how many copies of these are you going to be looking for?
Oh, if we already have 4, I wouldn't think but a couple more. And Scott, do you have any more?
We already sent one downstairs, didn't we? As part of the package.
Yeah, because I think we submitted 5 with the application, with the intent that one was going to be filed with the town clerk.
Yeah, and beats the 6.
Got 5 more than.
Catch. I was just looking at
5
that.
more.
If we have 5, we can have, well, actually, we're supposed to have 14 of everything, Bob.
Anybody want to request anything else before the September 11th meeting? I don't think anything else for tonight. We'll probably get requests in the future, but that's it for tonight, I believe.
Okay, I mean, is there anything else? Because what I'd like to do is just, for the purpose of the public hearings, to stay on track, and if there's any information that we could start to compile ahead of that hearing and give to the commission, I mean, I think that's part of the purpose of what we're here for tonight.
Yeah, thank you. I think the few things, I think everyone understood what was requested so far. Is there anything else, ladies, gentlemen, that would need to be asking? Nothing that I hear. Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Diana, are you about? No, she's just straightening out something. Well, let's continue on our agenda then for tonight. We have for discussion the Town of Orange Old Tavern Road Recreation Area, the pond dredging. Scott, is there, oh, pardon me. Is there someone here representing the town for Old Tavern Road Recreation Area? Or is that something you're going to do?
Interesting question. Apparently, I am going to be the one doing that, based on my conversation today. Everybody should have gotten
This thing?
a copy of the pond.
We're now looking at this one with the blue word pond on it.
This pond has a rather extensive history to the town of Orange, in as much as I forgot the club. Way back when there was a fishing derby that was part of why this pond was created. This pond has actually been deed restricted. I found it in our records in town hall. That can only be used by children 16 years of age and younger to fish in. And there was a fishing derby held for many, many years. And please forgive me the moment, it's just gone right out of my head who it is. The pond presently is about 8 inches in depth of water. It is silted up through all the years, and I believe the Chamber of Commerce would like to revisit having the fishing derby go forward again. And the only way to accomplish that is to have this pond dredged out and go down probably 3 to 4 feet and to be able to reestablish some fish into it. There are some in there now, some bass and some sunnies in there. They're barely hanging on because of the elevated water temperature, because it's so shallow. And there is quite a bit of emergent growth.
Scott, let me just ask a question on this. This pond dredging, based upon what you just said, is related to the use for fishing. Does it have anything to do with the application, or the not necessarily an application, but the review of the parking area change that was brought to us previously?
Negative.
It's unconnected. Ah, I thought it was directly connected. I thought that's why we were visiting this.
No, we are visiting this because it is a regulated activity. It could be considered maintenance, but it is still a regulated activity, and being the town, we want to make sure this time around we don't have any incidences where no one is aware of what's going on.
Is the town gonna dig it out?
Yes.
So they'll just make like
I was led to believe that is the plan at the moment.
Like a backhoe or
Go
a
in
mini
there with,
excavator or whatever.
they have an extender hoe.
Right.
And it may take them quite some time, and the plan is to stockpile material in proximity to the pond to dry, and then depending upon what the material is, it may go up to the Howard D. Brooks Conservation Area to be used as a silty, loamy base for the berm that is proposed for that area.
The application itself said in number 5 on the application for permit, it said if left alone, it will become a wetland with a water depth of approximately 1 to 1.5 feet. I mean, that's what happens if nothing is done.
If nothing is done, this will turn into a wetland in a few more years with no possibility of being any open water, but other than standing water until it completely is. Once these trees start to grow, they're just going to suck the rest of the water right out of it.
On the westerly side, how is it connected to the water course there?
It's not.
It's not at all. I never walked that far side, so I didn't know.
It's not.
It's not connected at all.
No, what happens is it kind of, you'll see.
That being the river, actually.
That is the Indian River.
Right.
All right, if you look at the water elevation on this shot, which is, these maps were dated, they were done for the town in '02, but I believe they actually were from the water company maps. As you see, base mapping provided by South Central Regional Water Authority. I think these were done in the '90s, but just south of the pond, water elevation at 51, which I'm actually not sure what it is today. You'll see spot elevation of 49, so as the pond would fill, there's just a small swale at the end of the pond, and the water would just cascade over. And that's the way it has functioned all of the years that it has been in existence. But that was its history, and how it came about initially was all with...
What is the desired depth of the water then?
4 feet max.
Rick?
Well, they're gonna pump it out first, right? To get clear 4 feet instead of just digging in the water?
Well, when I was out there last week, there was about 4 inches of water. That was about it. There was several of the blue plastic barrels that are scattered all about the recreation area for trash. They were we actually thought that they were floating on the water, but they weren't. They were actually on the bottom. The thing is just completely filled, but his eutrophication is pretty much starting.
Does the parking lot drain towards that?
The parking lot does drain into that.
Could we get some type of gravel or something there when they're done?
There actually had been riprap placed into that whole area. I'm going to say 7 years ago, I'm guessing. It's been a while, but there was a channel that led from the parking lot, and there was some dredging of the pond right at that outlet just to get rid of the sand delta that had come about as a result of the parking lot runoff. I don't anticipate that it's going to be as great as it once was, because you can see just below where the ball fields are, that's the existing roadway that is going to be removed as part of the project that you are referring to, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, that may well become a footpath.
So I think there will be and some of that does drain in that direction towards the pond, so I think we'll be eliminating some of that.
Rick, what was your thought? Is to
Open
put a base on the pond itself?
No, just at the edge, so
the
whatever's
edge.
draining from the parking lot.
Okay.
I mean, I know you were always asking about Wright's Pond also.
Uh-huh.
You wanted some gravel there also.
Well, you notice the benches are gone at Wright's Pond.
Diana, do you have any thoughts about digging into there and your experience?
I think I missed this. Did you say there are any fish in there at all?
There are.
There are. So if they drained it down, would they drain it down just enough so the fish could survive, or what would they do?
I can tell you wholeheartedly and totally with honesty that just about every bit of aquatic life in the way of fish are probably going to expire, and they're going to expire due to hypoxia. They're going to suffocate from the siltation.
So during this, though, you're going to assume that they're all going to die?
Yes, and
During the project, there's no way to...
They're gonna restock it after. That's what I heard.
What's in there now?
there's some bass, and then for some reason, there's always little sunfish that manage to volunteer in some way, some form, fashion. Don't know how they do it, but they do.
So are they going to let people fish this before they drain it out?
At 4 inches with the net, it ought to do.
It ought to be easy.
Well, like I said, I mean, there is some it's really
What was that age limit again?
yeah, it's 16, but I mean, really, you could just walk into this thing with a net if need be, and toss them into the
Yeah, point well
into the river.
taken, though, is Diana's concern is there any way to deal with whatever extent of the life is
Pretty much
keep it alive?
Pretty much any time that you do one that is filled in as badly as this, the pond is going to be sterile for a little while, at least more than likely through the winter. If there are any frogs in there, they typically are able to get away. The snapping turtles, if there are any in there, are typically able to get away. But the fin fish, they are either going to, like I said, suffocate from just the siltation that is created, and also they are slowly dying off now just because of the elevated water temperature. The bass can take a lot of water temperature, and the sunfish can take a high elevated water temperature, but they can't survive the siltation.
Would this be done before the animals might go underground like the frogs?
I believe this is going to be done with your approval fairly soon.
I have two concerns that I wanted to make sure is the extent of the high water line. Is that where they're going to dig, and can that be clearly identified? And then secondly, just what preventative measures may need to be taken along the, I guess it's the westerly side before it damages or does anything to the Indian River?
The westerly side at this point is still forested.
There's plenty of room there. I don't know that distance.
They'll be able, they won't have to go in, everything would be done from the parking lot side.
Yeah, okay.
And if you were to go out there, you'll see that there was been some extensive mowing of the overgrowth of autumn olive, Russian olive, etc. That has been cleared out.
What about the size of the pond or the high water mark? Is that clearly, can we identify that?
The high water mark will remain the same for the most part because you're lowering the bottom, not raising the top.
Yeah, I just didn't want them to dig it much bigger because we want a bigger pond.
No, there's no intent to do that.
Okay, thank you.
There's no wetlands surrounding this in the area where they're going to have the machinery?
I could not find anything in any shape, form, or fashion that would resemble any type of hydrophytic vegetation or any. So I mean, once the area was mowed down and kind of put back to where it was not a wetland to begin with, from what I can tell, and they just excavated down to the water table somewhere about where the river was in order to have this thing actually function. And I think that was whoever came up with that. And it's been a good number of years. I'm going to say, I mean, Walter, I mean, you had to be...
Microphone, please. Bob Heiser did that. I'll bet you that must have been in the 60s.
It's when I looked at the deed restriction on it, and I don't remember how I even stumbled across it, but it appeared to me as though it was a good 45 years ago that thing had been excavated out. And I found nothing but upland around it. No, and there's just no evidence. It's been, if there was, way back when the spoils went over it, and it's been that, maintained lawn basically ever since. But no, I didn't find anything.
Scott, you can help me here. It appears that there's some markings right by the edge of the pond that I asked Rick about, and he agreed what I guessed. Are those lights? Light poles or something that we're putting in?
If I'm not mistaken, they want to use this pond also in the winter for ice skating when it's complete.
See the star-like things?
Yes, I do.
And then scattered all throughout here, this map, especially in the neighborhood above. What are those dots?
I know these are symbols for lights.
Yeah, what are the other ones?
Trees.
Get it, that's representing a tree.
We got separate individual trees, I'm assuming.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that, thank you. That's why there's none in the ball field, right?
You notice there's a lot of voids of trees in that area, yes.
Yeah. Other thoughts on this?
I'm not sure about the
Commissioners?
the lights.
Well, ask Scott. I don't have any further concerns. Jim or Drew, Walter, Diane? Rick?
No, I'm thinking that if it's always kind of been a pond. If it was a virgin wetland area that you were trying to make into a pond, be a different story, but
Yeah.
I was more concerned about the 15-inch concrete pipe from Demers Drive going into the brook than with dredging the pond.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of those in town.
Yeah.
All of, I believe it's Barton Drive. There's 3 or 4 of those that just go unabated. There's the old subdivisions, that's what they did.
Do you need any action from us other than?
You need a motion to
So this as
up or
if
down
an
this
application of a
application.
permit from the town.
I make a motion to excavate the existing pond to an approximate depth of 4 feet for the entire pond. And I don't know if you want to, on the outlet, do you want to put some bales of hay in case
there is no outlet, really.
it doesn't overflow to some section?
Only in a
Southerly direction, it looks like.
only in a major storm event.
Okay. Well, just because if they do dig it all up and there's heavy rain, it's not going to get high enough to go out. I mean, if they do it now, it should be fine before the rainy season.
That's the plan.
Right. Okay.
We have a motion to allow this pond dredging. Anyone like to second that?
I'll second it.
Jim's. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of allowing the town to dredge the pond down at the Old Tavern Run Recreation Area, please say aye. Aye. Any against? None. Any abstain? None. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Scott, very much for sharing that information. I think the final item on tonight's agenda is the enforcement officer's report.
No, I don't think so.
And Scott Allen has come here tonight to help us with that.
There should be, oh, yeah, okay, I see what I've done. I've added 2 items to the enforcement officer's report that we will get to as we move along. That's what I've done, that's what I was thinking. Apologize for that.
I've added 1.
You have?
I wonder if it's one of the same as yours.
Okay. Cuz Acres, we briefly touched on some work over by Avalon Bay that I was notified of a couple of weeks back at our last meeting, and it has turned into an incredible mess.
It's my understanding that there was a cease and desist order.
There was a cease and desist order placed by zoning
Right.
for the trucking operation of the Cuz Acres Nursery, which was on Indian River Road across from the Christmas tree shop. That parcel, like 26, 28 acres, I believe, was sold 2 weeks ago. And there was a lot of stockpiled material on that site that the former property owner wanted to retrieve. So they started trucking it to their parcel that they still own on the West Haven Orange line, and also goes into West Haven behind Avalon Bay condos or apartments. And there were existing farm roads in there that did traverse through the wetlands, but they've had asphalt put on them to try to not have it be so soft and squishy over there, and DEP was out there this morning and they weren't very happy with what they saw. But anyway, there was a lot of discussion, and there is an injunction that zoning put on this project that no further work be done other than what I've asked to do as far as silt fence, hay bales, etc. at the existing farm road crossings. And that's where it stands. As of this moment, they have to produce a plan of what they are proposing to do with the site, and that is to be, I believe, next Thursday. I think they were given a deadline of this morning as to when they had to have people on board, a soil scientist, someone to work out some of the remediation that needs to be done on the project out there, because the magnitude of what has occurred is just huge.
Magnitude as in length of road?
Scope of work.
Yeah, okay.
The scope of
Diana?
work.
Are you talking about wetland impacts as well?
There was one wetland that was filled in that has been cleaned back out again, removed the material that was put in. Some of the trees that were taken out, obviously, or there isn't much we can do about that at this point.
It sounds, well, they could be replaced. It sounds like they've paved farm roads and wetlands, is what you said, without a permit.
No, they used broken up asphalt from a job. In other words, they didn't pave it.
I've seen what can happen with broken up asphalt. They can be picked up and carried into the wetland, and it can make quite a mess. Have they done everything you've asked them to do so far?
So far, they are working on it.
Are we going to see the wetland delineation and a site plan for everything that they've done and all the regulated activities? Because I'd like to see where they've taken the trees out. I think that's something we should see. They may need to restore something.
Let's just say you'd be horrified.
Is this something we should issue a cease and correct order for?
That's been, the notice of violation is done by DEP this morning. I'm just...
Is it something we should be issuing a cease and correct order for?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Do you need us to take action for you to do that? No, I didn't think so. Good.
Then we would have to have a hearing for this, a just cause hearing, like at our next meeting or something, within 10 days of the issuance.
Right. But that, right at this moment, is not going to be done, because what happened here is in order to circumvent the cease and desist order that the zoning put on the trucking operation, they decided to go from one piece of property to another through Stu Leonard's property and over the Town of Orange sewer easement. So there was some activity there that is stone wall knocked over, things like that have to be corrected. So right now they have to just correct all the things that they did to the stone walls, etc. on that side, and then we're just going to move forward.
Do we need to have town council get in on this with us? They're in already. Excellent.
They're in.
Diana, would you like to add
I
something?
think that if there's restoration that needs to be done, we should see it, and it should be a cease and correct order, and we should have a hearing maybe at our next meeting and, you know, see what's happened here.
That is forthcoming.
According to the person, I think it's one of the sons, they were just taking their topsoil off their land there. They were growing their pachysandra.
Correct.
Right, and they were just taking that, which was, he says a couple hundred yards, but zoning says it's a few hundred yards. So I don't know how much they took out.
Well, that's not as of right, no matter what kind of farming they're doing.
That part, I agree with, but that is one of the things that I even had this discussion with DEP this morning, that that whole area was a Pachysandra farm for a tremendous number of years. And there is still a Pachysandra farm there. I mean, and even where Avalon was a Pachysandra farm. So as far as their stormwater management plan goes and the like, if it's farm, and other than some siltation in the state waterway, DEP was going to take a hands-off approach to it.
If they filled wetlands, if they've excavated, if they've altered any water courses, that's under our jurisdiction.
Crossed it.
If they've clear cut and they are not putting, if they just clear cut, that's under our jurisdiction unless they're planning on planting some sort of a crop.
The crop has been planted already, and that's Pachysandra, but not in the wetland. That was cleared.
Where was it cleared? Adjacent to the wetland?
It was cleared adjacent to the wetland.
Within the 100-foot upland review?
Well, yes. Yes. But again, it's...
That's something that we determine that is as of right. It's not self-determining.
You're absolutely correct. I said it's in the works.
Okay, what it sounds like, and I'm not sure, maybe the straight question should be, are you going to receive an application from them such that it would be at least in receipt for our September 11th meeting?
They have, I believe, 30 days to even try to get a plan together.
Yeah. Okay. Diana?
The problem with an application is that it's not requiring them to do anything. If anything needs to be restored, an application does not require that. It's permitting them to do whatever they've applied for. So if we need for them to restore any wetlands, replant, or whatever, we've got to do that with a cease and correct.
Is that bouncing, are you bucking, not necessarily bucking heads, but are you just trying to make sure that what you do is in parallel to what everyone else at zoning and DEP? Is that where you're sort of waiting? By waiting, do we miss an opportunity to issue a cease and correction order?
No.
Any timelines, Jim or Drew, anyone else on any timeline, especially regarding timelines? I was concerned that there may be some date that passes that would restricts you from what you can do.
A violation is a violation is a violation, and it remains a violation until it is corrected, and you can issue it at any time you feel that you're not getting the cooperation that you need.
Do you want to visit the site, Diane?
Yeah, I think I'd like to visit it. And as far as the timeline, we have to have a hearing within 10 days of issuance of an actual cease and correct order.
Yeah, so then you would have to work with us on that timeline. That's what I was getting towards. Good, thank you for clarifying that. Other thoughts on it, or the next item?
I received a call last week that the wetlands were being destroyed on the corner of Route 34 and Dogwood Road. And I had a feeling it was the annual maintenance that is typically done with a machete, and I went up and checked, and that is the spot where the billboards are up there at Dogwood, and there was one gentleman there with a machete cutting down the Phragmites. So it was not growing up. I mean, boy, there was they're not tall enough that they were really going to block the billboards, but certainly I saw no reason to do anything with that whatsoever. Let that, like I said, it's been an annual ongoing maintenance situation for at least the 25 years that I'm aware of. I've added night, and is that what you wanted to?
Mine was the Weppawag River.
Oh, we're getting to that. We're getting to that. Night Meadows. Night Meadows came before this board. Ooh.
Where is that located?
Night Meadows. Okay, I have to have it. That's at the end of Tyler City, Old Tavern Road, just before it meets Woodruff Road. If you were to take down towards Milford. Sorry.
Old Tavern.
There you go. There's Woodruff.
Woodruff.
So it's this area.
Okay.
And this would be the plan. They actually had a wetlands approval, I'm going to say, well, they came back from an extension, and I think that was about 10 years ago or 12 years ago. It's been a long time. There is no activity in the wetlands. The septic systems are all 50 feet from the wetlands, and it's a question, yeah, here's the two lots, here's Narrow, here's Woodruff. It's a question of how does the commission want to proceed with the fact that there are wetlands on the site, but there's no activity near them or proposed.
Well, what
in it.
prompted this? I missed perhaps.
They'd like to start to build again.
Oh,
The lots have been cleared. If you kind of,
I remember the one.
there's two lots there. One lot has been cleared, the other one is actually a hayfield. It's in between Treat Lane, Hayland Farm actually, and the lot that has been cleared.
This was a subdivision approval? Or site plan approval?
It was site plan at the time. I don't know when the lots were subdivided out, but it was, I did find some background to the 60s that the two lots were created.
How close to wetlands are the activities?
Sorry, it's hard to see.
How close to wetlands are the activities?
They're within 50 feet.
To the boundary.
To the boundary.
Within 50 feet to the boundary of the wetlands?
Right, because our regs are 100 now.
The
Yeah,
house is well over 100, the septic is within 50
Yeah.
feet.
Nothing has been constructed yet,
Doesn't appear that way.
No.
so would we not want to see site plans for these?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I had a hard time even figuring out from that, but it seems like to me we should, and others take a chance to look at
Well,
this.
just because now we're at 100, before we were at 40.
Yeah.
Well, again,
That's the difference.
The septic system, though, is still the 50 feet, right?
Right.
We don't know what the limit of disturbance is, though, do we? Or where any roof drains are going, or that sort of thing?
I didn't look for that, but there was this darker jotted line, I'm not sure what that is, and then that was
Silt
one of the,
fence line.
that is the silt fence, that's what Rick had thought it was too.
See the plan?
Yeah, pass that around, please, as soon as you get a chance to, it's hard to decide without
I can-
seeing that.
Tell you, that's one of the things that needs to be added to the plan, because we didn't require things like that back when this thing was first
Some of the
approved.
conditions would be different, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Is there a sundown clause on application?
Yes, applications, permits expire.
Actually permits.
Yeah.
So,
After 5 years, unless we have any shorter
This one,
time
actually,
period.
this one, well, 10 years is what you can get up to now.
But they have to request an extension
Right,
if
which-
the initial, what was the initial expiration date of these?
I honestly could not find the background on it. I just remember personally that they had come before the commission and asked for an extension once or twice until they finally ran out, and it's been a good number of years since that had occurred.
These are the original approved house locations and septic locations, so do we know that that's exactly where they're going to be now?
I'm told that they're going exactly the way things are now.
I still think we should get site plans.
I do too.
Commissioners, others, it looks like 3 of us, I'm seeing some nods of yes.
Okay,
Scott, we want plans. Thank you.
so you want application plans?
Yes.
Got it. Let me make a note of that, please. I issued a cease and restore order to the town of Orange on August 24th because the Wepwalk River, its bank has come down and deposited fill material and left an island in the middle of the river, and it needs to be cleaned out.
The cause of that was?
From the bank falling down and several of the last 2 or 3 months of rain events, well, starting in April.
It was, I wanted to clarify, is that I didn't know if it had been a result of some activity by the town with machinery out there. No, very good.
It was
Glad
from
to hear that.
the way the Wepwalk, if any of you are familiar with the conservation area, the way the Wepwalk leaves Camp Cedar Crest, which is only a couple hundred yards up where their dam is, the river takes a 90-degree bend, and then pretty much in that April 15th, and then a couple of subsequent quick rain events that we've had since, the bank has got eroded, and it's all gravel, very easily erodible material, and it all got picked up and pulled around the corner and deposited in the brook, and that is part of the reason why that we are having the downstream flooding issues, is because of this island that is there. So if they are ordered to go in and do that, this commission has to, and I spoke with our first selectman after he received this, and he said he was fully in agreement that it needed to be done and wasn't going to come and challenge it.
What,
You have to make...
what access do they have to do what needs to be done? That's, if I remember, that's pretty tight to get up there.
Just to clarify, this is our just cause hearing for the cease and correct order. It has to be held within 10 days of the
Right.
issuance of that.
Correct.
Thank you. For the record, that is, unless someone else objects, no?
Their access is going to have to be down the path of a conservation area.
But then they have to, what do? Drive up the riverbed? I don't know how you get up there. Okay, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it.
Well, I mean, they have mini excavators. I don't know how big of a path they need.
The path that's there now, there may be a couple of limbs that have to be, possibly have to be trimmed back.
Where the backhoe fits in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Backhoe's been
Oh,
down there in
okay.
the past.
Oh, okay.
So that's fine.
I didn't think that was possible. You just clarified it then.
No,
Thank you.
They've been down in there with the town's backhoe in the past to take trees out of the brook. Again, part of what we had talked about in the past, with trying to get all that cleared out at once, but for right now, we've got to get this island out of here, because it is really causing downstream havoc.
Can we do that, Scott, without a permit from DEP?
This is, one of it is a cease and restore order.
Okay, this is part of the application?
This is, they're being ordered to do this as an action, as an enforcement action. So they're, basically, when I fill out the DEP reporting form, the town of Orange will be listed as a violator. So DEP will be aware of this, but because it's an order, it's a way of having an emergency situation corrected.
Okay.
Without having to wait for them to decide what they want to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to uphold my cease and desist order, or you can you can override it and abandon it and say,
Scott has to dig it out by hand?
no, I mean, you can, I mean, this is, Diane explained it properly, this is the just cause hearing right now that is going on within the proper
Yeah,
time
and
frame.
I think what was important is that you stated that you did talk to the first selectman who this was issued to, and he declined to appear, so they had their opportunity, and he certainly was aware of it, unless that correspondence never reached him.
You need a
which-
motion?
Well, you
Yeah, I
notice it
would
was
think
hand-delivered,
It was hand-delivered.
so there was no argument that it wasn't
Yeah.
received.
Then, as you may have just heard, Rick, would you like a motion on this as well?
We have to have a
Yeah, I would
motion
think
on
you
this.
would.
I'll make a motion to approve the, I guess, the cleaning of the Whiteborough River?
To enforce the
Or
cease
for-
and,
I think it's
Restore
more
order.
The res-
to enforce the cease and restore order.
yeah. Why don't we get the actual language here?
I was reviewing Robert's Rules of Order, and here's something that surprised me. Do you know you can take action in an executive session and not have to report it out? That what you discussed and have done? I never heard of it till I read it this morning.
I think that would depend on what the executive session is for, and,
Yeah.
you know, with commissions, it may be a little different because of the FOI requirements.
Okay. 381-64, which is part of what is in the cease and restore order. Within 10 calendar days of the issuance of such order, the commission shall hold a hearing to provide the person or persons an opportunity to be heard and shall cause why the order should not remain in effect. The commission shall consider the facts presented at the hearing within 10 days of the completion of the hearing, notify the person by certified mail that the original order remains in effect, that a revised order is in effect, or that the order has been withdrawn. That was the word I was trying to come up with. And then the original order shall be effective upon issuance and shall remain in effect until the commission affirms, revises, or withdraws the order. meaning that once this thing is done to our satisfaction, we can then
Revisit it and say we're
oh,
satisfied.
We're satisfied and withdraw the order.
So a couple of points. It was issued on August 24th. We're certainly within that date as of today,
Yes.
within the 10-day requirement. Rick has a motion on the table to approve the cease and restore order. Would someone like to second that? Drew, thank you. Any discussion on it? Jim?
Is there a timeline that is dictated by this to the town to have the work done?
Well, I mean, I would think they're gonna start before it's gonna get, rainy. Should be now.
Yeah, this is really the time of year to get this accomplished.
The water table as well.
It's going to have to be fairly soon.
But this doesn't tell them they have to do it within 60 days,
Yeah, that's
10
what I was-
days,
that's what I
30
was gonna
days.
ask.
No, I did not do that as of yet, and the reason I didn't do that yet is, one, first of all, I wanted to make sure that the commission was going to be in favor of having the order in place, and then if there is a time frame for you to assign it.
Yeah, would you like to suggest one, Jim, since you brought that up? I had a similar thought, as though it may not be our rainy season, there could be significant rain events, as you may recall just a couple years back, during the country fair, which is mid-September, we had such a rain event. I remember standing on High Plains Community Center field with 4 inches of water on that field, just from one overnight morning of rain. So rain events can happen.
You think, is this a day job? How much, excavating a day?
Yes, I would say it would be,
So, I would think within 2 weeks they should fit it in there, right?
I don't know who's
Jim?
doing the work this time. Whether
Oh, it's not gonna be the town?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know that has not been discussed.
I would say 30 days, 30 to 45 days.
I mean,
30 days from perhaps today seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, from the hearing.
Well, we have 10 days to make a decision,
Yeah.
or get it to them and get it
Yeah.
posted in the newspaper, so that's, not that it can't be done sooner, but I would respectfully ask that we can maybe start the time clock on Monday
That's
coming up.
Any
to
concerns
get
with
all
that, giving it till Monday plus 30 days? That gives our administration, Scott and Katie, time to do what's necessary here.
They're not sending it out to bid, are they? Because
If they're
Yeah.
sending it to bid, then it's going to take
Yeah,
much more
it's gonna
time.
take a
That's
lot
what I'm
more
saying.
time.
Yeah,
I assume the town will go out there with their own backhoe and take it out.
let's put it at 30 days, starting the clock on Monday. If they're going to bid for whatever reason, Scott, could you let us know, and then we may need to alter that condition.
Even if it had to go out to bid, it,
There you go. Go ahead, Walter. Just leave it alone.
if it's under $5,000, they don't have to go out to bid.
Correct.
There's gonna be
Yeah, okay.
$5,000 job.
If it is, I'm going to bid, I suppose, right?
You better believe
Somebody ought to bid. All right, well, thank you. We have a motion on the table that's second, some discussion going on there. Anybody?
Who motioned?
Rick motion, I think, Drew seconded it. Any more discussion or questions, suggestions on that motion? Is it a Diana?
Scott, will you just make sure they don't do more damage than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The intent here is, because there's so much cobble, meaning stone, is to use that. Nothing's going to leave the river, quite frankly. Everything's going to be put against the banks to stop some of the erosion that was created as a result of this island, because the water went like this instead of down through the channel, and there was erosion on both sides. So all that cobble island, because that's what it is, it's mostly stone, not a lot of, most of the sand is already gone. That's all going to be pulled back to be used as an armor.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they didn't just pull it out and fill a wetland somewhere with it.
No,
you know, on the
it's not
side.
leaving the river.
Okay.
That's part of the how I perceive that this thing should have gone, and how it is supposed to go when the order was written. It has to be taken care of now. Bottom line.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. There was some discussion, I presume it would be acceptable to Rick and to Drew, that there is a time frame that Monday plus 30 days. I see the heads nodding in agreement. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Seeing none. Passes unanimously and nobody abstained.
Actually,
Yes. Scott?
That's fine, but I think Monday it might be a holiday.
It is.
I guess we gotta go for Tuesday.
Let's go for Tuesday.
All those in favor of the motion now amended to say Tuesday plus 30, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? None. Unanimous still. Thank you. Additional items, Scott?
I believe that Mr. Urbano is at his 64th day today, 65th day tomorrow. So he's going to have to either withdraw his application or grant the commission an extension to hear this.
Will you be able to reach him?
Certainly we'll try to do that, but this may still come back. I mean, is the commission willing to entertain to request an extension to hear this, or should we just tell him he's got to withdraw and resubmit it some other time?
But in the meantime, he did draw the new plans.
There are supposedly.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Right.
Didn't you just say there were new
Well,
plans?
if he did draw the new plans, I don't have a problem extending
I haven't
it.
seen him yet. He was supposed to bring it
Right, because I heard you say it before.
last Wednesday,
Right.
and
Yeah, the only difficulty I would have, if the new plans are such that is it really a new application? I don't know. Is it that different?
I don't know myself.
I
haven't
guess
seen
we
it.
don't know, yeah.
Ask
Diana,
for it
your
and-
thoughts?
Tomorrow is the last day, is the 65th day? He has to submit his request then by tomorrow, because after that it would have, the time frame would have expired, so then.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, do
Well,
we
we
be
have
able to reach him?
don't we have to request an extension? Or
They
is this
have
going
to, they have
backwards?
to request the extension. If they don't request the extension, then,
You just have to make one good faith effort to reach him, and you've fulfilled your request.
sure, just let him know that he
Yeah.
needs to do it, which I
Yeah.
understand he already knows that.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Anybody have any concerns about that? Okay, an extension if it works out. If not, new plans and a new application afterwards.
Fine. Okay.
Thank
I
you,
just brought that
Scott,
up
yeah.
for,
Do you have one more? Maybe two more? No more?
wait, I hope not. I've had enough this week, really, honest. All right, we have everything back. No, I believe that I am done, but also I just want to recapitulate here that we'll shoot for September 25th for the public hearing on Farm River Estates, which is our second meeting in September, and we are just about going to make that with, especially with the holiday in between, on getting all our notices out and back, etc. But we should be able to do that.
Yeah, our next meeting is the 11th. The following one is the 25th of September. Rick, were you going to say something?
One quick thing, you know, where they're doing the topsoil on Grassy Hill Road there?
Yes.
Well, most of the
Oh,
catch
yeah.
basins, I know they got the filter fabric, but they're filled solid. And then before winter comes, if you just make sure they clean them, because they'll freeze solid. You know what
Well,
I'm-
yeah, that's,
You know what I'm talking about?
yep.
They
I
had
do.
the silt, I mean, whatever they put in there, but silt sack, it's filled.
Yeah, I'll have to
Because
get
if that freezes solid, the
I'll have
water,
to get with,
Be like a brick.
with Paul on
well, it's
that.
not, it's just gonna be a mess down there.
Anything else? Anybody else?
That's State Road, too. They're gonna be very unhappy if there's an icing condition caused over there by,
Oh, I know, because I see it all the time. As the trucks are going there, everything gets pushed to the side, and you can see it's, I think grass is going through it already.
I have it noted and logged.
Anything else? No, that's it.
I move we adjourn then?
Motion from all to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Adjourn at 9:31 PM. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.